That feeling when your paycheck just doesn't seem to go as far as it used to? It could be caused by inflation. Inflation describes the gradual rise in prices and slow decline in purchasing power of your money over time. I'm Staci from FundCalibre, and this is your 3-minute guide to inflation. Inflation occurs when prices rise, decreasing the purchasing power of your money. It refers to the broad increase in prices across a sector or an industry, and ultimately a country's entire economy. It's calculated using consumer price inflation or CPI figures. CPI figures are reported each month as a percentage, and in simple terms, they effectively tell you whether or not your weekly trip to the supermarket has become cheaper or more expensive. For example, if the cost of a cup of coffee is £1 and rises by 5p, then the coffee inflation is 5%. It also applies to services like having your nails done or your car serviced. When we are in an inflationary environment, it essentially means we have the same amount of money to spend each month, but things cost more, so that money doesn't go as far as it used to. In other words, the real value of our cash is being eroded. A small to moderate inflation rate is seen as a sign of a healthy economy. It encourages you to spend or invest your money today rather than stuffing it under the mattress, only to watch its value diminish. The flip side, however, can be destructive. Inflation, when allowed to get out of hand and rise dramatically, can topple a country's economy. For example, in 2018, Venezuela's inflation hit over 1,000,000% a month, causing the economy to collapse. This is known as hyperinflation. Although rare, hyperinflation describes out-of-control inflation that cripples consumers' purchasing power and economies. Economists define hyperinflation as taking place when prices rise by at least 50% each month. There are two main causes of inflation: demand pull and cost push. Demand pull is when there is more demand for goods than there is supply, so people are willing to pay more to secure the purchase. This is typically a healthier type of inflation. It typically moves in line with a rise of employment and wages. Because we have more money in our pockets, we don't mind spending more. Cost push is when the cost of making goods increases and companies have to raise their prices in order to cover the shortfall. People may start to buy more than they need to avoid tomorrow's much higher prices. This increased buying drives demand even further so that suppliers can't keep up. This can put a strain on the consumer and therefore negatively impact the economy. It can also mean that common goods and services are priced out of reach for most people. If inflation rises quickly, central banks like the Bank of England will often tackle the issue by raising interest rates. If interest rates rise, then the cost of mortgages, student loans, and other borrowing will go up. Ultimately, people and businesses will have less money to spend, demand will fall, and prices will stop rising so quickly. Inflation comes in many forms, from the extreme case of Venezuela to the healthy 10p increases we hardly notice. The inflation rate is used to inform a whole range of decisions and is keenly watched by economists as a sign of what's going on in the economy. However, inflation is far more complex than you might assume, but it doesn't have to strike fear when you see it on headlines. Don't forget to like and subscribe for weekly videos and follow us on Instagram at FundCalibre. And for more information on inflation and how it could impact your finances, visit fundcalibre.com.